up, everybody? So, huge things actually. I just graduated college! Yay! Oh my god, that's a little terrifying. Also, I'm gonna be 20 in a week! Well, a week from yesterday, but by the time you see this it'll be Saturday, so in a few days! Either way, I'm gonna be 20 on the 19th. Holy shit, I'm gonna be an adult. Like, a real adult. Not like, oh, I'm 18, 19, so I'm still like, kind of a teenager. No, I'm gonna be 20. I'm going to be past the second decade of my life and entering the third decade of my life. That's horrifying. Who let me be 20? Oh my god. Anyways, since I've just finished college, I decided that it was time to share some stuff about school. And it being Pride Month, and the day that I'm filming this, it being the day that Dan Is Not on Fire, one of my favorite YouTubers for many years, came out, I think it's time to share my coming out horror story when I was younger. So, I live like very, very close to where I went to elementary school, which here in Canada, elementary and middle school are basically the same thing. Like, mine went from junior kindergarten all the way to grade 8. So basically, I was there from senior kindergarten to grade 8 because I went to a different school for junior kindergarten. And I don't remember a lot of it. It's kind of a blur. Terrible school. I know people still complain about it. When I was about 12, I made the discovery that, oh god, I am bi. So a lot of the time when I was growing up, I didn't know, like, if I was gay because I liked girls, or if I was just straight and, like, conflicted because I still liked boys. And I didn't know what being bisexual was back then. And when I came out as bi, I didn't know what being pansexual was, so I thought that was the best label for me. So, being that I was 12 and I went to a very horrible school, I didn't want to tell anybody. I was too scared, so I mostly just told people, like my friends on the internet. People who, well, one person who I am still very close friends with. I love him, and like, it was a mess. So I came out only to my friends on the internet, and finally, one day near the end of grade 7, I decided I will come out in person to my friends, to all these girls who I thought were my friends. That was my first mistake. Being 7th grade and the end of the year, everybody was kind of like, woo, we're going into grade 8, we're going to be the head honchos of the school next year, wee! So, you know, everybody was all like kind of high and mighty and everything, and just kind of a little ridiculous. Anyways, that being said, I got together at recess with a bunch of my friends who were girls. And I sit down with them, and I tell them, guys, I have something I need to tell you. It's very important. I don't want you to tell anybody, please. And all of them are like, yeah, no, we won't tell anybody, blah, 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 blah. Liars. They're all liars. And I tell them, guys, I am bisexual. And they're like, oh, well, you better not hit on me, you know, all the typical stuff a girl gets for coming out as gay or bi or pan, whatever. And so I told them, you're not really my type anyways, and and they got offended by that, which was really funny. Considering I was very scared, I begged them not to tell anybody. Well, one girl in the group decided she needed to tell her other friends. And she was like, well, can't I just tell, like, my other friends? Like, they won't tell anybody, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, I asked you not to tell anybody. Like, what part of please don't tell anybody don't you understand? And so she's like, okay, fine, I won't tell anybody. But guess what she did? She told all of her friends who told all of their friends, And by next year, when I hit grade 8, I had no friends. Nobody wanted to be friends with the bisexual weirdo who was also pretty emo. Yeah, that was a thing. I had, like, honestly, I had one friend, but she could only hang out with me at school because her mom didn't like that I was bi. Yeah, it even got out to parents. So that happened. And I was not really having it. I was not happy. I got very, very, very depressed. I'm gonna be honest, that was probably like the first huge sign that I had depression. And it was horrible. I hated it. I hated my life. I hated myself. I hated being there. I would actively try to avoid going to school in any way that I possibly could. Any way. And finally, my parents had had enough and they talked to the school, said that I was failing, and I got back on track with the help of some very, very lovely people. My 8th grade teacher and a CYW that worked there at the time, and they got me back on track so I could pass grade 8 and move on to high school. And I'm so grateful that they were willing to help me, because I wouldn't have gotten out of that hole by myself. I don't think I would have. I really think I would have been stuck there for maybe another year. That girl who outed me to the entire 8th grade, I never forgave her, and she never apologized. She never came forward to me and told me what she did was wrong. Because when you out somebody, that's just, it's unfair. It's not right. You can be putting people in serious danger if you out them like that. And I realized we were kids, but she never came to me and said sorry or anything. She had no remorse for making my life a living hell. So I never spoke to her since then. She's not on my social medias. I made sure of that. And she's just not a good person for doing that to me. And you know, she was always really rude to that one girl who was my friend, which, by the way, she was horrible to my friend, but her mom liked her. And she didn't like me just because I was bi, when I was a much better friend to that girl than the other girl was. It's ridiculous. So, by the time I got to high school, I was nervous because it was a fresh, new chapter, all new people, because we were all like merging from a bunch of different schools to one school. And I was terrified that people, like, it would get out again, but nobody really seemed to know, I guess, unless they were from my old school, but they didn't talk to me at all. None of them did. None of them wanted anything to do with me. So, you know, I made friends with a bunch of girls in my gym class, and one day we were in the weight room, and we're all like sitting around doing our thing, and I tell them, hey guys, can I tell you something? Like, I don't want it to make you uncomfortable or anything. They're like, sure, yeah, whatever. So I told them I'm bi, and a few of the girls in the group piped up and said, well, like, yeah, I am too. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, I was so happy. There were people like me just around me, and I suddenly wasn't a laughing stock or a punching bag, and that just made everything feel so much better. It was like this weight was lifted off my shoulders, like, felt good. It felt like I could be myself for the first time in a long time. And later on, I found out what pansexuality was, and I started identifying as pan instead of bi, because things don't matter to me. If you're a decent person, you're a decent person. I don't care who or what you are. I like people, man. Nothing wrong with that. So once I was comfortable identifying as pan, I was so open about it because I knew there were other people like me around the school in general, not just even in the community, just at school. And I finally came out to my mom some point during that time. I don't remember exactly when, but she was fine with it. She didn't really care. She said she knew I'd probably be something other than straight. And I've been slowly coming out to other family members since then. Like, recently, my bubby, I told her that I was pan, because I think she kind of found out on her own with the amount I share on Facebook and everything, but she looked at me and asked me what it was, and I told her, well, it's basically when you really don't care what or who somebody is, you just like them as they are. She looked at me and she grabbed my hand and she's like, you know, there's something very beautiful about that. I wish I could be more like you. And that almost made me cry, because, like, I know my bubby isn't really, like, homophobic or anything, because she's been around the music scene and she was a teacher. Like, she's seen all that before. She knows what she got into. Like, she just knows all that kind of stuff, so she wouldn't really judge. But it was just so good feeling like I have nothing to be ashamed of. And even that was, like, recent. And now I'm, like, struggling with being non-binary as well, because there's so many people that's like, oh, if you're feminine presenting, you're not non-binary enough for me. You know, they think if you're not being androgynous, then you're not non-binary, you know? And it really sucks, and I've been struggling with that a lot lately, because I just want to be accepted as I am. And with Dan's coming out video that he put up today, it made me feel a little better. I don't really know what to describe it as, but it just made me happy. Because for such a long time, Dan and Phil have been this, like, incredible influence in my life. They're one of the reasons that I started this channel. They've made me happier. They made high school a little easier. They've made life in general a little bit better. So, I don't know. I guess my message is don't out people. Don't force people to come out. Don't assume things. Don't pressure people. All in all, everybody bleeds the same. And you have no right to be telling people who they can and cannot be. And you have no right to judge people for who or who they are not. It's not fair. And people just need to learn to be kinder. So, if you're watching this and you haven't come out in any way, or if you're still struggling to find your identity, you're not wrong. You come out whenever you're ready. You find yourself whenever you are ready. It's up to you. It's not up to anybody else. And happy Pride Month and happy almost birthday to me. You guys know the drill. My social medias are going to be down in the description. My Curious Cat's down there as well if you want to ask me questions anonymously. Link to my Discord server and my channel. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. Love to have you in the HOWELL'S fam, the Galactic Friendos. Well, that's all for me. Have a lovely day, all you lovely people. Bye!